Hey everybody, I started this video on one of the coldest days of the winter, and it was not only freezing cold outside, it was freezing cold inside because the heat pump system that we have to heat our house was not working properly. So when I started this out, even though the thermostat had been set at 72, which is what you're supposed to do. You set it and forget it, they say. You don't change the temperature at night. And the thermostat had been set at 72 all night, and we woke up and it was 59 degrees in the house. And the pump was running nonstop, which it's not supposed to do. It was a very chilly day in the house, and I was wearing very thick socks and flannel pajama bottoms and a very thick sweater, and trying to work as best I could in the freezing cold. And I'll tell you what happened with the heat pump eventually at the end of the video. But the project that I'm going to be working on in this video is the foundation of the house. And if I just turn this a little bit, you can see the stone foundation at the base of the house, and I will be taking you along with me as I figure out how to do this. It's probably going to be a two-part video. The first part of the video that you're watching today will get you to the point that you see here where I have the rocks on the foundation, and they are sealed, but they are not yet, there's no grout in between them yet. So I hope you'll follow along with me if you love all things mini, and if you're even just curious about them, come along while I continue to work on my first dollhouse. Notice I said first because I plan to do lots more dollhouses over the years, or at least lots more room boxes in miniature settings. All right, so without further ado, here we go with the foundation of my Tulip Tree Manor dollhouse. So I bought these. I just bought one bag. I'm going to need quite a few more bags, I believe. But and this I just wrote down. This is the number for the mortar mix that I'm going to order. I need to order that to put in between the stones. But I wanted to have a little practice at gluing some of these. The instructions just said to glue them and didn't really say what to glue them with. This is a casting plaster these are made of. That's what it says in there. And so I poked around online a little bit and found some information at, I think, a shop or something that sold these, and they recommended using something like Aleene's craft glue, or any kind of sort of sturdy quick drying glue. I'm thinking I might try using, I do have Aleene's tacky glue, and I also have wood glue. And I may try the wood glue, because as long as one of your surfaces is wood glue should work pretty well, and one of my surfaces is wood. What I think might be the tricky part about this is, like, how do, it's going to be like kind of like putting together a puzzle, and how do you get them all to fit and look right? So that's what I want to play around with today. Individually, they're very lightweight, which is probably a good thing. Quite pretty. Rather dusty. I have a suspicion that they're, once you have them in place and grouted and washed, that they'll probably brighten up. And then you have to seal them with something. I'm going to hang on to this because it does have some level of instruction on there. I'm going to do is get myself a piece of paper. That is the height of my base. This is not a full length. I just want something, some sort of a template here to start trying to lay out these stones and see how do I get them to look right. And how tightly packed do I want them? I did read somewhere, there's quite a lot of little ones. I did read somewhere somebody said that you should cut some of them. And I can see that being necessary. Person who said to cut them did not say how they cut them, so that's something I need to figure out. So I'm just going to try, make a little mark on that one and see. Let's see, I'll try a few different things. I'm going to cut this one just using a craft knife. Okay, that's sort of splintering the top of it right there. Although it's a solid color all the way throughout, so even though it's kind of splintering the top of it, it doesn't really seem to... It still just looks kind of like rough stone, so I don't think that matters too much. Okay, that seems like it would take a really long time. I'm going to try putting one in here. I imagine this is going to be really bad for my blade. For my saw. Oh, cuts very easily with the saw though, so maybe, since it did cut so easily, maybe it's not really so bad for it. Oh, okay. That worked well. It cut easily. It didn't, it was, I mean, it took almost no pressure, so I don't think it's going to really do much damage to the saw. I'm going to keep that piece because, you know, fill in a gap with it somewhere. Okay. So I think having lots of pieces that I cut down to fit is going to be sort of the key thing here. Probably want a little bit up there, a little bit in this corner here. I suppose once you get going with this, you start to get an eye for what might fit. Yeah, I'm starting to see shapes, you know, differently now. But I think I will want to have lots and lots of these. I'm probably going to want to have more than I need just so that I can find the right kinds of shapes to fill in everywhere. Okay, so I'll just sort of go along like that. I think that's good. I mean, there are some larger gaps in the air. I think I want to fill in that spot, that spot. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's how it would be in real life, right? You're not going to have perfect shapes, so you're going to have these gaps, and you're going to fill them in with this mortar. Okay, so I'm gonna go boldly over to the house and start trying to glue some of these on. I'm a little nervous, to be honest. Well, I called the heating company to say, hey, is it normal that my heat pump has been running on without stopping for 7.5 hours, set at 72, and it's only 62 in the house? And they said, no, that's not normal, and they're sending somebody out. But not until late afternoon. So it's cold, but at least we're still under warranty. Maybe we'll get it fixed. I don't want to know what my electric bill's going to be like after today. Okay, here we go. Oh, thanks, pup. Pup just knocked over the box of rocks. This house is heavy. I'm just using some offcuts of paper from something else that I did. And I was just keeping these. There we go. Alright, we'll keep gluing here. I just tried sanding the edge of this one, and that worked really well. So I don't want to have anything hanging down below this edge at all, just to sand off a straight edge, and that worked really well. So I've got two options. I can put it through that miter saw, or I can do if I just need a little bit off of an edge, I can just do the sanding. I think that'll work well. But I think probably what I'll do is go back and fill in some tiny rocks in some of these spots after I've trimmed a bunch of things and I have a bunch of little offcuts left over. Let's see. That's probably the best thing to do. Oh, that's the doggy doorbell. She's telling me she has to go out, and I can't believe she wants to go out. It's like 6 degrees out. I'll be back. I can see that this is going to be pretty time consuming, but I think I'm going to enjoy it. It's the kind of thing where I think, you could just put on a podcast or an audiobook, or, even a movie that you don't have to pay too much attention to, that's just an old favorite or something like that. Put that on your laptop. Oh, that's good. Splintering part there. And just, kind of get zen about it. Pretty. Yeah, so I've got some bigger gaps like here and here, but as I said, I think I'm just going to go back with some offcuts afterward. I may even just take leftover pieces I have and break them down a little bit and fill in with some smaller rocks in some of these spots. This is how much I have left to do with the stones. And this is how much I have left from this package. I do have 2 more packages. This is the 3rd package I've used. And I have 2 more packages, so I have plenty, but it's going to really irk me if I have to open up a whole nother package. Like this big a package just to finish up, you know, an inch or 2 right here. So, well, let's see how that goes. I also wanted to go in and fill in a lot of tinier gaps with pieces. I'm going to have to break up some stones to fill in little tinier spots that I wanted to fill in. Also, I've used up 2/3 of a bottle of glue on this. It's not a big bottle, but that's a lot of glue. But I think those things are solidly in place and are going to hold really well. Done. With a few left over, which I think will be enough to break up and fill in the little holes that I want to fill in. Next step will be to seal them with a clear coat. Okay, so I have some gaps in the stone that I want to fill in with little pieces of stone, and I think I have enough here to break up that I can at least fill in the biggest gaps. Tried to think about what's the best way to break these up, and I'm just using this utility knife. This blade is already, you know, a little past its prime, so I don't. And then these sand really easily, so I can sand, you know, sharp edges off of things, or sand them down a little bit smaller if I need them smaller. But I'm just going to keep cutting them like this and go fill in some gaps. And I'll just cut up maybe 2 more for now and see if that's enough. Alright, I'm going to leave that video here, and I will do part 2 of the foundation in the next video. I'm also working on a video dealing with the trim that I'm putting on the outside of the dollhouse. And just to finish up with the heat pump, they did send a technician out that day that, you know, actually, I said that it was 59. The day that they sent the technician out, it was, I think, 64 in the house, and then the next day it was even colder, and then the day after that it was 59 in the house when we woke up in the morning. And the first technician that came out went through everything, ran a whole bunch of tests, looked at all this stuff, couldn't find out what was wrong, had to schedule another appointment with a second technician, his field manager, to come out and look into the system. So Of course, all 3 of those days were the coldest we'd had this winter, and the temperatures were in the single digits. So that was fun. It would, mid to late afternoon, it would finally get up to maybe 68 to 70 in the house, and then just drop precipitously overnight, and we'd wake up to freezing cold temperatures again. I work from home, so I was the one that mainly had to deal with it, and fortunately I deal with cold better than anyone else in my family. It's heat that tends to make me really miserable, excessive heat. So when they came back on the 3rd day and looked into the system, they were here for quite a long time, and they finally figured out that so inside the heat pump, there are 3 heat strips, and 2 of them had been disconnected. And we're like, what do you mean they've been disconnected? We don't go into this thing. We don't touch this thing. And then I remembered, and they looked in their records and confirmed that they had been out here in November because the heat pump started making some weird noises. And so the technician who came in November, for some reason, disconnected 2 of the 3 heat strips. And then the machine had been running on 1/3 of its heat strips, which, it was running harder than it needed to for the remainder of November and December and January and into February, which wasn't a really big problem until we got into the single digits, and then the thing couldn't keep up. And the upshot was that when I took out my 2 electric bills from mid-November to mid-January, I guess it was, or maybe it was mid-December to mid-February. Anyway, I looked at those 2 bills and I compared them to the same period from the year before, during which we had also had a stretch of particularly cold days like that. And the total additional cost to my bill for those 2 months was over $700 total. And I felt like we shouldn't have to be responsible for that much of an addition to our electric bill, since it was their screw up. And so I talked to them. They were very nice and very helpful, and they came back and offered me $500 toward my electric bill, which they have paid. And I think that was fair. The cold snap that we had was colder and longer than the one we had the previous year. And as always, electric rates had gone up a little bit, so their feeling was, some portion of that increase was probably due to more cold weather and increased rates. And I said, yep, I won't disagree with you there. And I felt like their offer to pay $500 toward our bill was pretty fair and reasonable, since they'd screwed up the machine to begin with. But anyway, so that's come in, and they did fix the problem, and the heat pump is working fine since then. And so all's well that ends well. Bye.